guys, it's so great to have you joining Morgan and I for Junior Youth Group. We are really excited to have you with us today. As today, our theme is all about learning how God calls us to take care of this earth, and the animals, the plants, and each other. We've got games and activities and even a story for you. We're going to start with a game which is called Name That Plant. Are you guys ready to play? All right, we're going to go play. Hey guys, welcome to our game show. Can you name that plant? The way this is going to work, I will show you a picture of the seed, then I'll show you a picture of the plant, and you want to guess what plant this is. All right, here's our first one. Any guesses? These seeds are fairly small. There's the plant. Now you know what it is. It's an apple tree. Good job. Here's the next one. Recognize these little guys? We make pop something, don't we, with them? There's the plant. You know what it is. It's corn. Good job. Good job. There's another one. These little seeds are kind of like helicopters. They twirl when they fall. As a kid, I had fun dropping them. I still do, watching them twirl as they fall, spin. And they grow into this tree. You know what it's called? That's right, it's a maple tree. Good job. Here's the next one. We had to zoom in really close to see these seeds because they're really small. How about we zoom out and see the plant? See if you can figure it out. Now you know what it is. It's bananas, right? Yep, it's bananas. All right. You've seen these kind of pine cones on the ground, haven't you? And there's the plant. Make pretty big trees. You know what it is? That's right, it's a Douglas fir tree. How about these seeds? They're pretty small. Maybe you recognize the plant. Now you know what it is. What is it? That's right, it's tomatoes. Let's try another one. We don't often see the seeds for this plant. They're kind of odd shaped, aren't they? And they grow into this. What is it? That's right, it's roses. Way to go. I can't fool you on this one. I think you all know what this is. Did that confirm your suspicions? What is it? That's right. It's strawberries. All right, we got one more. Now this, you see the little cone, is not much bigger than a penny. And the little seeds of the cone are about the size of the letters on a penny. And yet this tiny little seed grows into the tallest tree in all the world. Do you know what it is? They grow in Northern California. They're called redwood trees. Good job. Way to go, you guys. You did great. Well, thanks for playing Name That Seed. We're now going to head over and enjoy a story with Morgan.
Hey guys, I'm going to be reading you a story that's relating to what we've been talking about with Earth Day. So I'm going to be reading The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. It's a really good book, so I hope you enjoy. At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today, where the Lorax once stood just as long as it could, before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows. The old Onceler still lives here. Ask him. He knows. You won't see the Onceler, don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum at the top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of miff-muffered roof. And on special dank midnights in August he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks, and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss it 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather's snail. Then he pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you've paid him in his in his snub, his secret strange hole in the grooveless glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper my phone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone. Slop! Down slips the whisper-ma-phone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snurgly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green, and the pond was still wet, and the clouds were still clean, and the song of the swami swans rang out in space, one morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw brown barbaloots, frisking about in their barbaloot suits, as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. But those trees, those truffula trees, all my life I'd been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop. And with great skillful skill, and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft, and I knitted a... Hi, potato. I knitted a need. The instant I'd finished, I heard a kazump. I looked. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I'd chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed, What's that thing you've made out of my truffula tuft? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree, I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a need. A need's a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses, yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, "Sir, you are crazy with greed. There was no one on earth who would buy that full of need." But the very next minute I proved he was wrong, for just at that minute a chap came along, and he thought that the Thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. "You poor stupid guy. You never can tell what some people will buy." "I repeat," cried the Lorax, "I speak for the trees." "I'm busy," I told him. "Shut up if you please." I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, "Listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast, take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch." And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting Thneeds just as busy as bees, to the sound of the chopping of truffula trees. Then, oh baby oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 truffula trees at one smacker. We were making Thneeds 4 times as fast as before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week, he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, "I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots, who play in the shade of their barbaloot suits, and happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go round. And my poor barbaloots are getting all crummies, because they have gas and no food in their tummies." "They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys," he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad, but as I watched them go, but business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm, I most truly did not, but I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads. I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads of the Thneeds I shipped out. I was shipping them forth, to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more Thneeds, and I biggered my money, which everybody needs. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. "I am the Lorax," he coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled, he snargled, he sniffed. "Onceler," he cried with a cruffless croak. "Onceler, you're making such smogless smoke. My poor swammy swams. They can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in his throat." "And so," said the Lorax, "please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off." Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month, or a year, to escape from the smog you've smogged up around here. "What's more," snapped the Lorax, his dander was up, "let me say a few words about the gluppity-glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without stop, making gluppity-glup, also sloppity-slop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you." "You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary, in search of some water that isn't so smeary." And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, "Now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap yap and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you. I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more truffula trees into needs, which everyone needs. And at that very moment we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in no time, my uncles and aunts and everyone all waved to me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke-smuggered stars. Now all that was left neath the bad-smelling sky was my big empty factory, the Lorax, and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, just gave me a very sad, backward glance, as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants, and I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place, through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. But that was long, long ago. But each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole lot, awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffula seeds. And truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care. Give it clean water and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest. Protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. The end.
Hey guys, well, I'm in my backyard and I'm standing in front of a tree that my brother and I planted about 15 years ago. When we planted it, it was a lot smaller than this. It's really grown, hasn't it? Trees are pretty awesome, as we learned in the story today from the Lorax that Morgan read. Didn't she do a great job? We learned that trees are really important. What are some of the cool things that trees do? You guys, what are you thinking about? What do you think that the cool things trees do? How many of you guys like to climb trees? That's a lot of fun, right? How many you have like a tree in your backyard with a swing or something on it? We used to have a tree with one of those in our backyard. Yeah. What other things do trees do? How about when they've got all their leaves in like spring and summer? How many of you like to come and sit under a tree and read or play a game or something? That trees are good for shade, aren't they? What else do trees do? Well, this tree is the home to a bird family. I think they're out getting some food right now. Well, maybe we'll hear them in the background. And it's also a squirrel. A squirrel lives in this tree. She runs along the fence, jumps into the tree, runs back along the fence. I think she's somewhere else here today, but she lives in this tree too. So it's a home for little creatures. Trees do a lot of important things. Trees provide wood and things, so we have homes and houses, and they provide, we make furniture and paper. Trees also, a lot of trees grow fruit that we eat. One thing that trees do that's really important, you and I breathe, right? We breathe in oxygen, and we breathe out carbon dioxide. And you may have heard that too much carbon dioxide is bad, right? It causes things like global warming and things. Well, trees, they help us. They, in a sense, breathe in the carbon dioxide and breathe breathe out oxygen. We need each other, don't we? Trees are pretty important. Other things about trees roots, they go into the ground and they hold the ground together so that when we have things like rain or flooding, it holds the ground steady, protects us. Trees are really important. And it's important, just as we learned in the story, that we take care of our trees. Well, we're going to head back inside, and I've got something really cool that I want to show you. All right, I'll see you inside. Hey guys, I've got something cool I want to show you. Let's take a look down here. Now this is a slice of a tree. In your packets, I sent you each a high-resolution photocopy of this tree slice. Now trees, like people, tell stories. This tree, this little dot in the center, that's its first year of its life. And then each ring from there going on out is another year in this tree's life. Now, if we look at the rings of this tree, we can learn something about this tree's story. These first quite a few years here, which are darker and wider, were most likely years when the tree was getting lots of rain and sunshine. They were good years it was growing and doing really well. But then as we look in those next set of rings, we notice that on this side, these rings start getting really narrow and they're lighter. But if we look at the rings on this side, we notice that they are still wider. Now, why the difference, you might say? Well, most likely, something else grew up around the tree on this side and blocked the sunshine or maybe some of the rain. So but here it was getting lots of sunshine. Now, if we look at the very last few years of this tree's life, all the way around, they're really narrow, which means that those were hard years. Most likely drought. Perhaps the spring started late and the summer started early. There was less rain, less sunshine. They were tough years on the tree. Now, my challenge for you today is from your photograph, I want you to start in the very center. So that's year 1, year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, counting the rings all the way out to the outside edge. And I want you to send me your answer telling me how old this tree was. Good luck, and if you get the right answer, I've got a prize. Our scripture this morning comes from the very first book of the Bible, Genesis, in the very first chapter, where God tells us about the story of creation and how God created the stars and the sun and the moon and the planets. He created the earth and the oceans and the mountains and the seas. He created all the creatures, from the birds to the fish to the animals to the plants and trees, to each one of us. Each one of us was made by God. And God gives us, as human beings, that's us, a really important job. We're called to be the caretakers, to take care of this creation, to take care of the plants and the trees and the animals and each other. And that's our mission from God. Well, I think it's almost time and for our closing here, and Morgan's got a really cool challenge for you all. Make sure to get your flower seeds ready. All right, we'll see you later.
Hey, I hope you guys have been enjoying learning about Earth Day and God's creation and how we're supposed to take care of the earth and everything around us. In your packets this week, you should have received a packet of seeds. What we're asking you guys to do is to plant those seeds and try and figure out what kind of flower or plant is growing. And then send us a picture or let us know about how it's growing and what it is, because we want to find out too. Another thing is to make sure to water it and give it sunlight, because we're supposed to be taking care of it like God has asked us to. I hope you guys are staying safe and you're enjoying and your time at home and finding things to do. We miss you all, and we can't wait to see you soon.